Welcome to Garden News. Tuesday, the 2nd of March 2021, Nigeria received about 4 million doses of AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine for COVID-19 at an elaborate ceremony in Abuja. Saturday, the 6th of March 2021, President Muhammadu Buhari and his vice, Yomi Osinbajo, received the vaccine, opening the floor for others to follow. But some state governments are saying they are not ready for the vaccination, while the Kogi State Governor, Yahya Bello, categorically declined the vaccine. This is amidst other conspiracy theories being paraded in the social media. Well, Garden News saw the view of a Nigerian professor of virology, educational administrator, and former vice chancellor of Redeemer University, Professor Oyewale Tomori. Prof, you are welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, always.
Okay. Well, Nigeria has received the COVID-19 vaccine. What next?
It is to deliver the vaccine to the people. And it was sad for me to read. Actually, I was just reading in The Guardian that the PTF boss said some states are not ready. That worries me. We've had a long time to prepare for it. We kept hoping it was coming in January, then February, now, and then there are some states that are not ready. It's very bothersome, very, very worrisome. Unless we deliver, the vaccine is of no use unless it's given to the people. Vaccination is the problem, it's not the vaccine.
Okay, did it tell us why the states are not ready? What reason are they advancing for not being prepared for?
Yeah, I just saw the headlines in The Guardian, I think of yesterday, that some states are not ready. And obviously, I think it has to do with their cold chain, also deploying people, getting people ready to actually do the vaccination, the logistics and the basic arrangement. At the federal level, of course, the MPCDA was doing a great job telling us what and where to go, but I don't think they've been able to decentralize that to the state level. And that's where I think we need to get the state up and coming. Okay. I want also to make a point. Also on that same note was the one where the governor of Kogi State was saying he's not going to get the vaccine. But if you want to get it, you can go and get it. I don't think that's the attitude we should have in this country. Everybody, from governor to the governed, should be there out getting that vaccine.
Okay, that takes us to the point of people asking what is actually the benefit of the vaccine. Why should we take it?
Thank you, Godwin. You know, the vaccine, what vaccines normally do is to give you immunity against infection. That is, you get the virus, or the vaccine, sorry, and then when the real virus comes, your body is already primed to see it, and then it produces what we call immunity and mops up the virus. So it doesn't allow your infection to become a disease. That's what vaccines are for. And every vaccine from polio to yellow fever does the same thing. And I think there's some things going on in the papers. If I take the vaccine, I can still be exposed. If I take the vaccine, I can be infected. Yes, of course, vaccines were not designed to prevent exposure. They were designed to prevent your infection becoming disease. People need to realize that. And so all the mess that is going on in the papers and on this Facebook and all that one, saying that the vaccine does not prevent infection. Vaccines were not made to prevent infection, nor were they made to prevent exposure. It is you that will prevent exposure. The vaccine will not do your job for you. I think we need to get that message to our people.
Prof, how suitable will you say this AstraZeneca vaccine to the DNA of Africans? Let's talk about Nigeria in particular.
First of all, the AstraZeneca is not like the Pfizer one, which is the messenger RNA. This is different. They are not the same. There are different kinds of vaccine. There are some that use messenger RNA, like the Pfizer. There are some that will take a little portion of the spike of the virus and graft it to another platform. That's the type you have, the AstraZeneca. So it doesn't contain messenger RNA like the others. And even the ones that contain the messenger RNA do not get into your nucleus. there are two parts of a cell. There's what we call the cytoplasm, which is the one that surrounds the nucleus. The messenger RNA that you get from the Pfizer one only stops at the cytoplasm, where it breaks more of those and then is destroyed. It doesn't get into the DNA, which will affect your genetic code. I think this is an important fact that people should know. So all the stories people saying that affects DNA is wrong, is not correct. What we have now is like, for example, the Pfizer vaccine takes what we call the messenger RNA of the spike of that virus.
Good.
That is what is used to make the vaccine. In the other forms of vaccine that are made, what they get is they get a portion of that virus, but graft it to another carrier. So is on that carrier, there's a section of it that shows that has a portion of the virus. That's the one that gets into your cytoplasm. It does not get into the nucleus. So anything that does not get into the nucleus cannot affect your genetic code, and it stops at the cytoplasm, and that is where the whole thing then it produces this antibody. I mean this messenger RNA, which the body now collects and protects antibodies against, so that when the real virus comes, your body is already primed, and then it just mops up the virus and you don't get disease. That's what the vaccine does.
Okay, you said earlier on that the attitude of Nigerians now should be, come out a month to be vaccinated. But from investigation, majority of the people are opposed to, the vaccine. What should be the right attitude, actually, of the people right now?
First of all, we made some mistake at the beginning, and we need to correct those mistakes. There were a lot of false stories going on about the vaccine. People ignorantly were making statements about the vaccine, which they didn't know anything about. For example, let me give you an example. If a carpenter comes to you and says, I want to repair your car, will you listen to him? No, you won't, because he's a carpenter. So when a senator or when a person who has nothing to do about viruses or immunology comes to tell you about a vaccine, you don't believe such a person. When a religious leader comes to talk to you about vaccines, what does he know about vaccines? He should stick to his Bible. But most of the information we're getting get from people who don't know anything about what is happening. But then instead of countering those, we refuse to correct those errors. We refuse to correct those errors. But now it's time to do that. The truth about the vaccine is that this is not the first vaccine that have been produced. Vaccines have been produced before. If it worked with polio, if it worked with yellow fever, why do you think this one will not work? And things are even better than they were in the old days. In the days when yellow fever was made and when those levels were made, things were not like this. Let me give you a good example. It took Zeke 2 weeks to get to Europe or to America from Nigeria by ship. It will take my president 4 hours to get to the same place by plane. Are you going to say you're going to go back to the ship? Or are you going to say you won't use the plane because of this? But all the safety and all the needs that needs to be this have been taken care of. The fact that it was done fast does not mean that it was not done properly. So, and this is the age we are, the age of development, of doing things faster. There was a time when we had the telephone, when you had to dial and ring, and which were found in different parts of Nigeria. But today, everybody is carrying mobile phone. Are you going to go back to those old age of when you have to dial your number on the phone? No. Advancements are being made in every aspect of life. Why shouldn't that advancement be made in the area of vaccine? That's number one. One other thing you want to look at, over 200 million people have gotten this vaccine all over the world since it started in the last 1 month or so. How many of them have died? What report have you got? If they are dying like that, wouldn't you know? So if over there 200 million people have gotten this virus, this vaccine, and yet they are okay, what is that? What is our fear? What is our problem? And again, people say, they are bringing this thing to poison us. If they want to poison you, they will have poisoned you with measles vaccine, they will have poisoned you with polio vaccine, they will have poisoned you with yellow fever vaccine. Why this one? These are things I think people should reason when people hear all these stories and look at, is it true, is it correct? And who is telling the story? Like I said, if a carpenter comes to you to repair your car, you will not listen to him. Many of the people who are talking about vaccines don't know a hoot about anything about vaccines. And yet we take them and collect all their stories.
Okay, Prof, I think personally I have cause to believe you because you've been around vaccine for over 50 years, working vaccine, talking vaccine, and managing vaccine. Now, it took NAFDAC how many days to go through this vaccine? Just like WHO would say that we have done our part. Every country regulatory agency has its own duty to perform about the vaccine. Let's look at the approval given by NAFDAC. Are you okay with it for the period they have worked on it to evaluate the vaccine?
Let me go back to what NAFDAC, I think I listened to the DG and he said they do more on reliance. Reliance based on what countries that have very good regulatory authorities, what they have done with their own, like the WHO, for example, like the European Union, for example. They've gone through all this documentation and all that. If we expect NAFDAC to go through all that, it will be like reinventing the wheel. Therefore, it is important for them to assure that what WHO did, what the European Union did, what other people did is correct. In addition to that, they have a little bit of things to do, which will not take more time, like checking for the safety of the vaccine, for example. To me, my best understanding will be that it will require inoculating some animals and see the effects on the animal. And then you can then look at that, is it safe for people to even take it at all? The other aspect of developing immunity is something that will get with time. So, I mean, how long the immunity will last depends on how long you've gotten it. So, for what NAFDAC have done, based on the standards that have been set, on the basis of strictly on that reliance of what WHO, European Union have done, they've looked meticulously at the documentation, the same documentation that WHO had, the same documentation that European Union had. Bear in mind, all those bodies did not go out from the street to go and check what is happening. They depended on the regulation, I mean, on the documentation supplied by the manufacturers. So also NAFDAC did the same thing, and then relied on the integrity of WHO and other people, so that to come up. So NAFDAC had done what he can do within the limits of his capability. And I mean, I have no problem with what NAFDAC has done.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Let's now look at the immunity kicks in after one has received the vaccine. How long does this vaccine actually last in the body of the recipient?
You see, unfortunately, because this is a new vaccine and it's just coming in, we don't know how long the immunity will last. But from the experience of those who received during the trials, it is lasting. I mean, I think they had the trials around July last year. So almost 9 months, people are still immune. We only know about the duration of the immunity based on how long we have used the vaccine. You only know about the duration depending on how long you have used the virus. So if I got it in July last year and you check me today, that means it's 9 months immunity. If you come 2 years from now and check me, I still have it. So also, so similarly, that's what WHO did with yellow fever. You know, they tell us get your yellow fever every 10 years, although they've changed that now, even to mean for life. But then it means that based on past experience, over the length of time that thing has been used, they can say with confidence that even after 10 years, you still have immunity. So this is something that got here last year. So we cannot be talking about the length of immunity when they're just been with us for a short period. All we can say is that within the period that has been used, there's immunity. That's all we can say. So anybody saying how can you know what is in the future? You can only talk about what is the present. I got it in July last year. This is March, and I still have immunity. Therefore, immunity is lasting for 9 months. If they come to me next year, July, or 2-3 years from now, from July, I still have immunity. Then the immunity has lasted for 3-4 years. So we have to wait until for the length of the time when people have gotten it to determine the duration of immunity.
Okay, while we are waiting, Prof, is it possible for a person that have taken this vaccine to contract the virus again? And is there also possibility of spreading it to others?
Let me put one thing. First of all, it is not the day you get the vaccine that you develop immunity. It takes anything about 10 days. for the body to, it's not an automatic thing. So I get it today, the immunity comes up immediately. The body still has to react and develop. So sometimes it takes anything from about 7 days to 10 days for the immunity to manifest. That's the word, manifest. So if during that period you get exposed to the disease, your body is not yet ready. You will get the disease. But if after that period when your body should have developed immunity, you get it, you are likely to be protected. But let me also make one important point. Getting the vaccine does not prevent you from being exposed to the vaccine. And what do I mean by that? Exposure is you refuse to wear your mask. You have somebody who has the disease around you, he sneezes into your face, you will still get exposed. The vaccine does not protect you from exposure. It is the face mask that protects you from exposure. So people need to appreciate this one. I see something going on in the website or what in the Facebook and all those things, social media, saying, "Oh, you get the vaccine, you can still be exposed." Of course, you can still be exposed. Why not? The vaccine was not made to prevent you from getting exposed. It is the face mask that prevents you from getting exposed. Then they say, "Oh, this thing doesn't. You still get infection." Of course, why not? You will get infection if the virus comes into your nose. It will multiply in that area. But because you have now gotten the vaccine and developed immunity, that infection stops there. It does not develop into disease. If you don't have the vaccine, the thing will develop into disease and you either recover or you die. So the vaccine has its role, prevents your infection from becoming a disease. I think people need to appreciate that. So there's a specific role for each. Let me give you the example. You get yellow fever vaccine. It does not prevent a mosquito that is carrying the virus from biting you. The mosquito does not know whether you got vaccine or not. It's looking for blood to suck. So whether you have gotten the virus or not, the vaccine or not, the mosquito doesn't care. It comes and bites you. So you get exposed. But you do not get yellow fever disease because you've already gotten the vaccine, which has given you immunity. So even if the virus multiplies in your body, you are sure that you are defended. Or defended from getting disease from the infection. So we need to appreciate the role of the vaccine. Don't give the vaccine what its duty is not. The duty of the vaccine is to get you, to prevent your infection becoming a disease. It is not to prevent you from getting infection. It is not to prevent you from being exposed. That is your business. Wear your mask and you will not be exposed.
People always work with period. Say, if I'm told to wear this mask for this from January to June. Okay, I know by June at least I'll be free from the trouble of putting the mask. Is there any time duration one can say?
Thank you very much. That time depends on you and I. There's a level of immunity, what they call something herd immunity. In which case, if there are 10 of us in this room now, and 8 of us have immunity, we are indirectly protecting the 2 that don't have. So we need to get to that level, 80%, 70%, or whatever, so that I can protect others. Now, if the reverse is the case, there are only 2 people in this place who are protected, and the remaining 8 of us have no protection. The likelihood of our getting infected is there. So the more of us get this vaccine, the more people get immunity, and the more we have this herd immunity to protect ourselves. And the shorter it is for the moment we have to wear those masks to reduce our transmission to each individual. So you and I have to play a role in reducing the time that we have to wear the mask. If 100% of us are protected, which is not likely, but let's say 80% of us are protected, then you'll be reaching a point where you can do without the mask. But then that also depends. That also depends on the fact that you and I get a vaccine and you get vaccine does not mean that because our bodies are different, because our natures are different, you may be protected or you may develop a very high level of immunity while I don't. And that's because I have a problem or other things. So we have to bear that in mind, that of the least of us here, that the vaccine does not behave to everybody the same way because you and I are different. So to protect those other people who we do not know, we must continue to wear a mask and save ourselves from any problem.
Well, in terms of awareness, some people in Abuja told us that they are not even aware that they have to register before vaccination. And how will you rate the level of awareness about this vaccination and COVID-19 in Nigeria?
I think it is one step. It is just a step, this registration thing, to me. It is not something that you can talk for the generality of the people. How many people have internet in their phone? How many people, they just use it basically to make phone calls? How many people are conversant with registering online? That's just one part. The real part is getting down to what we did with the polio eradication. With the polio eradication, we went down to the people. We called the traditional rulers. We called the religious leaders. We talked to the world leaders. We talked to the people who are closer to their people, the leaders that they recognize. The minister of health is not known in my village, but the village head is known in my village. I get to that person and tell him, this is what we are doing. Make him part of it so he can talk to his people, because his people listen to him. But the people don't listen to Boss Mustafa. Who knows Boss Mustafa in my village? Nobody. But they know the leader, the world leader in my village, the village chief, they know him in my village. So we need to get this information down to that level, to the level of the ordinary man in the street. It's okay for the register, that's for those who can read and write and who have all the facilities. But I'm sure, I don't know what percentage of Nigerians you have in that one. The major problem for us is to get that awareness down. As I said, we did it for polio, we can do it for this. We can learn from the experience of the past. Get to the traditional rulers, get to the world leaders, get to the community leaders whom the people recognize, talk to them, encourage them, advise them, give them information that they require to pass on to their people. That is the only way we can get everybody involved.
Okay, getting people involved, then one is wondering why state governors should say they are not ready, and some are saying that if you want to take, you are free to take. That kind of attitude to read. Prof, how will you rate that?
You know, sometimes I wish we had the dictatorship, but it is not good. It has its own problem. Yeah, really, because all the discrepancies and these things that are coming from different governors, do this today, don't do this. It's the problem. It's people's life we're dealing with. It is my life, it is your life. And when a governor comes out and says that this vaccine is poison, I was glad the Governors Forum disassociated themselves from that statement. And he said he was talking his own. But people in position of authority should know that they have a great responsibility for the leg of their people. And when a governor comes out and says that kind of thing, I think it is wrong. And it should be brought to book for the sake of the people. If he doesn't want it, that's his own business. He should keep his mouth shut. But there are people who will listen to him ignorantly and do the wrong thing. We don't need that kind of thing in this place. We need to get the information to the people. It is their life. And then we hope that people will begin to realize that irrespective of what the governor says, it boils down to me. Do I want to be protected? If the governor doesn't want to be protected, that's his own business. It's for me to say, look, this is affecting me, it's affecting my family, it's affecting every other person around me, therefore I must protect myself. The responsibility for that protection is not with the governor. It is with you, it is with me. So irrespective of what the governor said, forget it and go and get the facts. Will I get this disease? If I get it, what will happen to me? I could recover, I could die, but I don't want to die. Therefore, this vaccine will help me. And that's the problem. That's the thing the message we need to get to our people. It is your individual responsibility, not that of the governor. Let him say what he likes, but you make up your mind for yourself. Do I want this vaccine? Is it good for me? And that's why we need to educate our people, give them the right information so that they will know and be able to take a decision for themselves and not be swayed by some, sorry to use the word, some comments from some governors who are acting out of ignorance.
Okay, Prof, before we let you go, let's take a look at the quantity of vaccine brought to the country.
3.9 million.
And we have a population well over 200 million. Is that commensurate?
No way. No way. You see, if I've been saying it and I've been saying, this is where you have a proactive government. Does not wait for donations. Go and find some of the other African countries, Ramaphosa and others. In addition to the donation they are waiting for from COVAX, they went out of their own to Serum Institute of India and other places to purchase additional vaccines for their people, because they know that COVAX is only giving them 20%. So the rest, what you require for the country, must come from your country. I know AU has provided some funding, but in addition, that is still not cover all we need. So each country on its own, and that's why there are 3 different groups of countries. There are the proactive countries over this issue. Those are the European countries, who even before the vaccine was ready, had bought up the vaccine and have more than enough for their people. There are the post-active, who after they have waited and nothing has happened, they decide to take action. Then there are the inactive countries like my country. By now, we should have bought enough. For example, suppose this 4 million finishes, what happens? Then the roll-on stops. We don't know when the next batch is coming. We are hoping that it will come before we finish using this one. Suppose it doesn't come. That's where good governments come in and pitch in at that time and buy more vaccines to put in that gap so that there's no stop and start in the rollout. I would expect my government by now to are saying we have bought X number of this. We are arriving at this particular day. Can they tell me when the next batch of vaccines are coming? Nobody knows. They don't know. So suppose we use this 4 million and it's finished. What do we wait? We wait for another 2-3 weeks or 2 months before we get the next batch. But then people's interest, people's enthusiasm will have been dampened. This is a continuous process until we get to the end. Therefore, whatever the government needs to do, they need to get that money, get it out. After all, they said they put out 400 billion to buy vaccines. What are they doing with it? Is it just money by mouth? What have we done with the 400 billion? I heard yesterday that they are doing a supplementary budget to get more vaccines. What did you do with the 400 billion? These are questions you'll be asking our government.
I don't know if you have any other thing you want Nigerians to know as far as this COVID-19 vaccine is concerned. Please tell us.
Let me restate again. The vaccine is safe. And I'm saying it not because of anything, but because of what we have seen in other parts of the world. If 200 million people have received this vaccine, one form or the other, and we're not seeing them dying, why should we think that when it comes to Nigeria, we start dying? Why would you think that if it comes to Nigeria, we start getting the disease? So look at what is happening in other parts of the world. The number of people who have got it is more than the population of Nigeria. And we have not had any adverse report. Of course, people have been trying to say, oh, this death is, but then the truth is that of those who, yes, they will have what we call reaction, some side reactions, but they're temporary. Like anything you do, if you give me injection now, I will feel fever. I will feel the pain at the site of the injection. That's normal. But it will go away within the 24 to 48 hours. So my people, my great Nigerian people, go out and get those vaccines. It is for your own sake. It is for the sake of, and then all these people are saying, oh, until we all get that level of 70% covered, we will have to continue to wear the mask. And we don't want to do that. So go after the vaccine, and you are sure of your protection.
Well, Professor Oyewale Tomori, I must thank you most sincerely for speaking with us on the program today. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Well. I have been speaking with Professor Oyewale Tomori on COVID-19 vaccination in Nigeria. This is Garden News. We say it as it is here. Thank you very much. Join us again.